Growing up, I have always been the new student. When I enrolled at Hamber in grade 8, I was attending the 7th school that I had been to since 1st grade. This constant moving around has taught me how to quickly spot the people who are similar to me and befriend them. So even as someone who was naturally shy, quiet, and a little awkward, making friends wasn't too hard anymore. However, there is another side to this. As I developed this habit of being with people of similar traits, I narrowed down my own comfort zone. Every day, I talked about things I already knew and did only the things that I was comfortable with. When my dad first talked to me about the idea of a comfort zone, I absorbed none of it. I saw no need whatsoever to go new places, meet new people, since I was very comfortable where I was. Why would I search for change when there was no need for it? But my dad saw a need for it. So he signed 11-year-old me up for a 6-week-long summer camp. My family was living in Beijing at that time, and the camp that he had signed me up for was in Boston. So that summer, I packed my bags and flew halfway across the globe alone. With a combination of reading signs, asking airport staff, and a little bit of luck, I was able to make it there alive. I can still remember my first day of camp clearly. After 5 years of public school in China, I had forgotten most of my English, and I was extremely shy ever since I was little. So I was approached by this very sweet Indian girl who asked me whether or not I wanted to join her in playing bump. And instead of simply saying yes, I broke into tears, which probably made the situation scary for her as well. Fortunately, the camp leaders were kind and understanding, so for the rest of that first day, I stayed with them without saying anything, because staying silent made sense to me that way. Soon, I realized how much the people around me were enjoying themselves, which made me feel tiny and somewhat jealous. I felt like I was lacking in some way. I just wanted to go home and be with the friends who I could talk to comfortably. But that was not an option. And staying silent for the next 47 days didn't seem like the best way to go either. My African American roommate, Cece, is one of the kindest people I have ever met up to this day. Every night before curfew, she would initiate conversation. And day after day, I began to open up, so our conversations grew more and more personal. That was the beginning of a friendship I could never have imagined. Slowly but surely, I was getting more comfortable with the people around me. Although I did not make a ton of friends by the end of it, I sure knew the 8 people from my hallway pretty well. On that last day, we all cried, thinking about how we wouldn't be able to see each other ever again. But thanks to Facebook, we can still speak as if we've only said bye yesterday. So returning home, I began to think about all the opportunities I have missed out on because I was too scared. And that's when I realized what a comfort zone is. After a couple of years at Hamber, I began to get used to this life with not too many struggles. I had decent grades, and I was no longer scared to death when it came to public speaking. However, I knew that there was so much out there I had no idea existed. So, when summer came along again, I traveled to Providence, Rhode Island for a pre-college program. There, I met some of the most academically accomplished people who made me realize goals I have never envisioned for myself previously. It wasn't the best feeling, but it was motivating, knowing that there's always an extra mile to go. The me that refuses to step outside of my comfort zone was rejecting diversity, thinking that what I have can't be any better, and my life shouldn't change in any way. The me that sits back and just gets by is tolerating diversity. I am okay with change coming into my life, but chasing after it is not something I would do. The me that seeks for opportunities to expand my comfort zone is embracing diversity. If I always had my tolerant, just getting by attitude, I would not have progressed in any aspect of my life. And if you think about it, embracing change and diversity kind of makes sense because, after all, change is the only constant in life. But sometimes it's nice to stay in that zone, and I think sometimes it's even necessary. Because being outside of that zone for too long would bring on tons of stress. Naturally, we like to relax, and there is a strong tendency for that laid-back mindset to take over the opportunity-seeking one. Keeping the balance between the two is what's important, but it's not easy because you are fighting against nature. I like to think about rejecting, tolerating, and embracing diversity as floors of a house. We all live in these houses and spend time on all floors. The basement is dark, cold, and a little humid. You don't usually get your work done there because you have the ground floor, which is much more comfortable. The ground floor is indoors. There aren't too many windows, so you depend on artificial lighting. But that's okay because you have the aircon and the heater, so it's always going to be comfortable. Logically, you spend most of your time on the ground floor. And then you have your second floor. It's a balcony with little cover, so you get the element of surprise from the weather. It's beautiful out there when it's sunny and warm, but you can't help it. Some days there will be rain or even snowstorms. Going up there is an adventure. You don't know what to expect. One day you may go and be disappointed by the pouring rain, while another day you may go and have your breath be taken away by a spectacular view. It's not the best idea to stay on one floor forever. Although the ground floor is super comfortable, once in a while you're going to need some fresh air. Similarly, we reject, tolerate, and embrace all the time. It's about how much time you spend on each floor. And the first step to that is being aware of what floor you're on. Transitioning between floors is a process that takes time. Just like how we can't switch from tolerating mode to embracing mode at an instant, we can't teleport between floors. It's not hard to travel between the basement and the ground floor. Both are indoors. How different could they be? But when you go up to that second floor, you need to change from clothes that you wear at home into clothes that are suitable for the conditions outside. When progressing from tolerating to embracing, we let go of the stereotypes at the back of our minds, pick up courage and respect to invite something that's foreign into our lives. By the time you're at the top of the stairs, you're equipped for whatever the outside world will throw at you. You're there with a new mindset, a new pair of eyes. As Marcel Proust said, the real voyage of discovery consists not only in seeing new sights, but in looking with new eyes. Up there, with your horizon expanded, you can see not only where you are, but where you could be. We live in a world with over 7 billion people of different ages, colors, shapes, and sizes who speak over 6,000 different languages. There are limitless possibilities out there for us to discover. So with the very, very limited time that we have, be courageous, be open, and invite something that's unlike you into your life. Thank you.